become who we want to be as individuals. And at the end of the day, that's going to help us be a successful offense.
Man-to-man, one-on-one coverage because the safety rolls to Jefferson's side.
Jordan Love hit me up the night of the draft, just congratulating me, let me know it's time to work. A.J. Dillon was open arms.
Von Rock caught a ball with his thighs. We didn't even talk about that.
It was more of with his ass.
If he throws a good ball, this is a running, catching touchdown untouched.
Like, KP does like these flips after every win, and I'm like just waiting for him to do his flip.
To know that we still love each other, that's what football brings us.
Across the safety's face.
You can tune in anywhere that you guys follow us on social media. Welcome to the Practice Squad Pod, episode 67. My name is John. I'm joined by my co-host Mark. And we're coming in a little bit early, right? Usually we get a Practice Squad podcast on a Wednesday afternoon. You, the viewer, are now watching this on a Tuesday afternoon, and that is a direct effort of trying to be a little bit more timely on the previous week's games, the news cycle, all that good stuff. So it's a bit later at night, but I'm chock full of energy. Mark, I'm sure you are too after watching that KC Eagles game.
Great Monday night game. We want to get more of a quick, true reaction out of the weekend. And we want to include the Monday night game as well, which is fresh. We just watched it. We just finished watching the Eagles come back to beat the Chiefs, get their revenge game. Excited to cover, some great ball this weekend. Some great ball. Learned a lot of things about a lot of teams. And
a lot of things happen too.
It's time to get into it, dude.
Vein of injuries, other things like that. So we'll get right into it. Before we get started though, and before we intro our guest for today, Mark, if you note the ticker, there's a bet that you made in 2021 actually, or no, was it 2022? Might have been 2022. My bad. I'll give the benefit of the doubt there. Pertaining to the Lions win total that you lost, and I believe that it was mutually agreed upon that you would take the ACT had you had lost that bet. And I have to ask, football season's over. Have you signed up for it yet?
I have to wait for the right date, John.
Yeah, so this was the exact thing that I heard about this time last year. And so we just want to make sure that gets scheduled, right?
We're working on getting it scheduled.
I'm sure you're sitting around refreshing.
I'm too busy going 35-12 in my picks this year.
Okay, I like the diversion, but old bets, they come knocking, right? Anyways,
ride with the kid.
Yeah, speaking of OG,
more impressive
podcast lore. Our guest for today has been around since the initial, hey, we should start a podcast and talk about football together group chat. In fact, this individual named the Practice Squad podcast, usually a behind the scenes guy, but has made some guest host appearances. We're happy to have him on. It's our boy, Zach Morrell. Zach, how you doing, buddy?
Boys, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Happy to have you on.
OG Zach.
OG Zach. So I think, we're going to keep this episode short, sweet, and easy. There's a lot of good football to talk about. We're going to talk about good football. We're going to talk about next week's gauntlet of games. We get football on Thursday, Friday, the game on Saturday, and then NFL Sunday into Monday. Last I checked, that's a lot of good football, a lot of consecutive days in a row. Let's start with the game, since that's probably going to be the only college topic we talk about.
I have another one too, but we'll go to the game first.
Okay. Is it about Jordan Travis? Because that,
it's about the Heisman.
Okay. Which I guess that's relevant too. For those that don't know, Jordan Travis had a season-ending injury, and now Florida State's playoff hopes are down the toilet. Really shitty way to.
Well, they're still undefeated, so
they are.
Do they still put them in if they win the ACC championship somehow against Louisville? I think you have to if they're undefeated still. But
yeah. It's some drama around that, and it sucks. I mean, it really sucks for Travis for draft reasons, for how the season was shaping up for them reasons. And then you got the game where Michigan is going to be without their head coach. And I didn't really feel like they slumped too much when they were playing Penn State, missing Harbaugh. I don't know about you, Mark, but I felt like watching that Maryland game. There were especially moments mostly pertaining to McCarthy's passing game that I thought there was some moments of weakness. And so going into, the game, both teams undefeated, couldn't ask for a better matchup. What can we anticipate from this Michigan team missing their head coach.
It's a trap game last week, right? So I never really look into it. I mean, Ohio State didn't look all that grand last week as well against Minnesota. So anytime you have a game like this in the horizon and you can smell it, that game you're currently focused on that's why they call it a trap game. So that's why both those teams didn't look super great. But you're going to get their very best come Saturday because this is, quite honestly, it's the best rivalry in football, might be the best rivalry in sports. I mean, you can look back, so much history between these two teams, a lot of hatred. I mean, these coaches will not respect each other. There isn't, I mean, sportsmanship goes out the window. I mean, it's just it's a different level.
They truly loathe each other.
It's a different level.
It is a 70, 80-year history of them absolutely having legitimate beef with one another.
And I think you're looking at, John, correct me if I'm wrong, of the last 5 years, I think this is the fourth time where the winner of this game is like almost guaranteed to go to the playoff. Like, it's basically a playoff game before the playoffs start. I think 4 of the last 5 years, the winner of it has gone to a playoff, or both teams ended up going to the playoff.
Yeah, the stakes have been no joke every time.
I mean, you know what it is. It's in the big house, so Ohio State's got to come to Ann Arbor. It's going to be a tough place to play. I think Michigan's going to roll, and I'm not a Michigan fan. John is a Michigan fan. I'm from Michigan. I'm completely unbiased. I don't like Ohio State. I don't root for Michigan or Ohio State, to be honest with you. But I think Michigan's going to roll here. I think J.J. McCarthy has had a couple slow weeks, but he's a far superior quarterback, and I think is much more ready for this moment than Ohio State's McCord. And I just think the moment's going to be too big for Ohio. I mean, you have Marvin Harrison Jr. They're going to try to feed him, but if anyone in the country has the DBs to compete with him even a little bit, and I'm not saying anyone's going to lock him down, but you can limit him and not let him have a freak game. That's the only way Ohio wins this game, is if he goes off. So you have Mike Sarenstill, you have Will Johnson. Those are two guys, two of the best in the country that can compete with him. And all you got to do is get a few stops. I don't see Ohio stopping Michigan's run game. JJ's going to make enough plays. They're going to get a very, very heavy box. And if Michigan takes a couple risks and JJ makes them pay like they did in the game last year in Ohio, you could look at a pretty lopsided game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, what was previously a weakness for Michigan, in my perspective, was their defensive backs, and now I'd argue that's a strength based off of how they played this season. So you're right. I mean, Ohio State's always had disgusting receivers. You could argue between them and Alabama, it's the best receiving university in the country. But I think we actually have the talent to kind of go toe to toe there. And the quarterback plays is, I don't think McCord's necessarily bad, but it's not the same that it's been probably in years prior. Zach, how are you feeling about the game?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot at stake for Michigan as a whole. I mean, Harbaugh has been suspended. They look like Mark said, it was a little bit of a trap game against Maryland, and JJ looked a little bit shaky. But they held their own well. They've been winning, and their defense really, really stood out to me watching them play against Penn State a couple weeks back, and then the way they just manipulated and controlled the game in that second half on the ground, I think will be a good thing, especially if JJ comes out a little bit sloppy or sluggish, or if they get punched in the mouth early on. I think, honestly, too, this game might have bigger stakes going into it than even like the Big Ten championship. Like, there's guaranteed playoff spots on the line here. You've got game day coming into town, which always brings a little bit of extra oomph behind the show going out for the game. And this is a game, even whether or not your allegiance lies to the maize and blue or to Sparty up north a little bit, this is a game you want to be at if you're a Michigan resident. Even this is something that everybody got their eyes on all around the college football landscape, and there's a lot on the line here for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a national game. I mean, I think you're right in saying that, even if you're not a Michigan fan, if you're a Michigan resident, you're paying attention to what's going on in this game. I mean, seriously, the whole country is. Like, this really is the biggest game in college football, and it has been for, a few years now. So
you don't get the nickname The Game for
literally
by accident,
And like you've got guys that are guaranteed, not just going to the league in the future, but high draft picks going forward on both sides of both teams, both sides of the ball as well. There's a lot of dogs, if you will, which will only up the intensity and up the caliber of play that you're going to see on Saturday. And I've seen they cut those promos, the big noon Saturday promos for this game in particular. Man, you don't want to be anywhere else on Saturday
You get
besides in front
chills,
of a
man.
TV. Yeah.
You're gonna. I
You get
mean,
chills.
both you guys are, relatively local to Ann Arbor. Do either of you plan on meandering your way down and maybe catching some game day or anything like that?
Oh, I
No?
wish, man. I wish.
Hey,
No,
man.
I'm gonna watch on the comfort of my couch. I plan on making some TikToks about it before, and have some short form stuff coming out along with this episode. But I'm excited as hell to see it. Huge stakes, obviously for both teams. So winner can pretty much guarantee they're in because they have a joke of a team in the Big Ten title game, Iowa, which is going to be an absolute cakewalk for whoever wins the game.
Are they gonna? And I'll pull up the NFL board because this will be short and sweet. Are they gonna change the conference around with the new additions or anything like that?
Yeah,
Because
I think they are. I think it's going to be realigned. I don't know
it
what
is
it's going
it
to
is
look like.
incredibly lopsided right now, and as you said, that it's a joke. It's been a joke every year for a long time. When is the last time that the other side of that conference won a Big Ten championship?
Shit, man. I think it was Iowa or Wisconsin, maybe back when they beat. I want to say Wisconsin beat Michigan State back. I don't know.
In a long
It's been
time
a while.
ago.
Maybe
Yeah.
Iowa, maybe upsetting somebody.
We're
It's been
really
a while.
jogging our memories. So
It's been a while.
yeah. So getting into the NFL
Before
Thursday
this,
night-
John.
Yeah.
Before
my
NFL.
bad. My bad.
Your Heisman pick right now.
My
We're nearing it. We're nearing it.
Ah, shit. You're right.
You want me to read you a fact here and see if it sways your opinion?
Go for it.
So right now, Jaden Daniels is the betting favorite to win the Heisman after last week's games. He currently has a better passing efficiency, 208.3, and more total yards per game, 417.4 yards per game than any other player to ever win the Heisman. Only Joe Burrow, 26.1, has accounted for more points per game than Daniels, 25.3, in the history of Heisman Trophy. And he still has another game to go. He had 8 touchdowns on Saturday.
I mean, that's a good argument.
Problem is, they got 3 losses.
That's what I was gonna say. Is don't they have 2 or 3 losses though?
Yeah. I mean, where's his Heisman moment is my question, right? You always talk about the Heisman moment. Does he have that? In the biggest games, they did not win.
Yeah, I haven't watched nearly enough of LSU football to really know that either. So I don't know. Frankly, I have no clue who's up for Heisman this year. I'd like to say that certain skill players or whatever might be available for it. I mean, honestly, Marvin Harrison Jr. is I think should be in that conversation with the way he's been playing this season. But it's basically become a quarterback award. So I don't think he's going to get any looks there.
If he beats Michigan, and he's a large part of the reason why they beat Michigan, I can see Marvin Harrison stealing it. Michael Penix Jr. of Washington, they're undefeated. He's having a ridiculous
playing really
season.
good football.
The only
Yeah.
problem with Michael Penix Jr. is Washington's undefeated, and they're like the best team in the Pac-12, could be a playoff team. But Bo Nix has better numbers, and Oregon only has 1 loss and could also be a playoff team.
Yeah, they're kind of
depending on what happens with
Florida.
Florida State, and depending on how the game goes Saturday, you could see Washington and Oregon get in. We could still see Ohio State and Michigan get in. Because I don't know if they're going to put Florida. First of all, and Louisville could end up sneaking in if they win this game against Florida State. I mean, I don't the committee is really weird, and it's going to be hard to see, but I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of names in this Heisman hat this year, and statistically speaking, I don't even think it's close. Jaden Daniels should be the guy, but the question always remains. I mean, they're not even going to be a playoff team.
Right. Wins matter 100% making that decision. So, yeah, I mean.
It's got to be a guy who's consistent, who helps your team get that extra edge and gets you that leg up, and you can always count on them. I think it's going to be a guy like Penix or Bo Nix out there out in the West. I was hoping it was going to be JJ, but
JJ, I mean, again, JJ could steal it maybe with a huge game against Ohio. It's not, out of it. He's still in the conversation. He's had a couple slow weeks. I think the biggest thing back to Jaden Daniels, because he is the favorite, and I think he's probably going to get it because he's so consistent in putting up ridiculous numbers. Problem is, that moment is always the question. You look at Johnny Manziel. They lost several games that year where he won the Heisman, but he had that moment where they took down number 1 Bama, right? And like that was his staple Heisman moment, even though they didn't win a national championship, didn't even win the Big 12 or the SEC at the time. You know, he still won the Heisman Trophy. So
What do you
think it's
think
worth noting.
draft implications are for Daniels too? Because I mean, you talk about a stacked quarterback draft, but also a stacked wide receiver draft. I mean, both position groups I feel like are deep this year. If you are a quarterback or wide receiver needy team, I'm just curious. You know, if he continues to, well, not continues. I mean, there's 2 games left. Like, where do you think he stacks up among some of the other draft caliber quarterback talent?
I mean, quite simply, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in this year's draft. I think he's probably a top 3 guy. I think the Caleb Williams guaranteed #1 pick thing is not a sure thing anymore. I think he's going to be truly evaluated this offseason. I think Drake May's right there with him. Jaden Daniels is right there. JJ, if he declares, Penix and Bo Nix both could come out.
That's
I mean,
6 quarterbacks
yeah,
that,
that are all
rounders.
first. No, that will all be first rounders. I
so
can't
crazy.
see any of those guys. I can't see any of those guys not being first rounders if they all come out. That's the crazy thing, right? And so you could see some of these teams that won't have to reach very far to get a franchise level quarterback. And I mean, it's deep. And if you are one of these quarterbacks that's on the bubble, we've already seen some guys say, I'm going to stay another year because why come out in this draft class when you stay a year and develop a little bit more, maybe be the top pick next year? That's why I could see JJ staying. Just putting that out there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think NIL 100% levels that playing field at a level that we have never seen it in football history. And then, I mean, Drew's in the chat too, and he's completely right. Like, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is, I mean, he is an unreal prospect. He is like a Justin Jefferson potential wide receiver. And I think, it's very rare that you have that much confidence in somebody's ability to, play at the next level, at the level they're currently playing at in college. And I feel like he's one of those, receivers that it's safe to say that, right? Like, I mean, I expect him to be in his rookie year, wide receiver #1 to whatever team he goes to. So it's it's going to be a fun draft, man. I felt like last year's draft was a little bit weird, both from like a position strength perspective and just like, there's really wasn't like a very clear cut, like #1, prospect at any position. Frankly, there was a lot of questions around a lot of players. And I mean, this year, I feel like it's, there's 5 to 10 guys that honestly you could see drafted, #1 or #2 overall. And that conversation's going to carry us from this postseason into the draft. So that'll be a fun few months. And Practice Squad Pod went really hard in the draft last year. Talk about behind the scenes work. Zach was literally photoshopping the people, the teams real time, and we were getting those tweets out as the picks were happening.
It's a good place. We're a good spot if you're looking for draft content. Yeah,
yes,
that's
sir.
for damn sure.
All right, so getting into these games now. Thursday night football, Ravens, Bengals, and look, this game was what it was. But I think the biggest talk of it is obviously Mark Andrews with a likely season-ending injury. There's a chance he could come into the playoffs, if Baltimore goes deep, and Joe Burrow with a season-ending injury, and so that very much changes what the Bengals look like for the rest of the season too. I also noticed that I forgot to add the scores to this, so I'm just going to pull that sheet up next to me and tell you guys the scores as they happen so that we don't lose track. That's my bad. But Mark takes on Joe Cool out for the season. I mean, that's rough, man.
Yeah, Cincinnati was no doubt a contender just because of him. That's what he brings to a franchise. And clearly he went into that game with a lingering wrist injury that they tried to hide. And that's not cool for people out there that gamble. I luckily did not have this in my best bets. Neither did John. Otherwise, we'd probably be pretty infuriated right now. A lot of people lost money on that. It sucks, man, because they're one of the best teams in the league when he's healthy. He hasn't been healthy this year. The very short couple weeks where he did look healthy, they looked like a Super Bowl contending team again. To me, it's tough to gauge how good the Ravens really are after this game. They took care of business. They were supposed to, especially when Joe Burrow goes down.
They are now the #1 seed in the AFC, by the way, with this Kansas City loss. So it's worth mentioning as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It just sucks. That division is just, it's anyone's division, honestly. The Browns are only a half game back. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for me to make a quick judgment on it. I just hate seeing great players that deserve to at least have a chance to compete for Super Bowls go down. And
It stinks.
especially in the way that he went down, where he's like, you can tell, so he's trying to grip the ball, he's trying to throw, and he's just in so much pain. Can't do it. It sucks. So bad for football.
Yeah, and it was a torn ligament in his hand, and that's a ligament issue is way more than a sprain or even a broken bone. Like you're truly SOL. Like that's how you get functionality in your hand or wherever else. Like, right. That's why ACLs are so tragic. It's like you can't do shit about it, man. That stuff just doesn't work the way it's supposed to when that's messed up. So it's a huge bummer. I mean, everybody loves watching Joe Burrow play. I think everybody, as long as you're not in that division, is kind of a fan of watching the Bengals be successful. It's a team that people like pulling for because of the fact that fun to watch. Joe Burrow's a good leader. They've kind of risen from the ashes of being a shitty franchise the past few years to being Super Bowl contenders. So it stinks. And I don't want to discount the loss that Mark Andrews is to Baltimore too. I mean, they, as far as size goes, like he is their big body wide receiving target that creates mismatches and also has obviously really, really good hands. And so I'm curious to see how, this new Baltimore offense is going to adjust in his absence because the receiving core is a whole lot better than it was in previous years. But man, Andrews was a huge part of that offense still. All right, moving on to Titans Jags. Jags blew out the Titans. It was 34-14 was the final score. It was nice seeing the Jaguars have a little bit more like consistent offense this game against what I think is a very respectable defense in the Titans. It seemed like they were figuring some things out. Calvin Ridley, had a really good game for the first time in a while, 2 tutters. So yeah, I mean, it's really consistency with the Jags, right? I mean, they're offensively, they're very hot and cold. But I still think, I think they play the Texans this next week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
it's a big game, right? I mean, I'm excited for that.
Honestly, John, I think this game is more about the Titans being bad than the Jags being good. I think the Jags, again, they did what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be one of the better teams in the AFC. And when they play inferior opponents, they typically take care of business, right? Like, the Titans are struggling, dude. They're reeling. Like, it's not pretty for Vrabel. It's not pretty for them right now. You kind of can almost see even a bit of an effort. Like, on a team that's well coached, you can, when you notice an effort problem, that becomes, an alert. Like, you should be worried right now if you're a Titans fan because you have a great coach that's a great motivator that usually gets the most out of his guys regardless of the circumstance. And in this game, I mean, they didn't really compete. Effort didn't look like it was even really all there. It just doesn't seem like the locker room's bought into even trying or caring anymore, and that's a problem.
Yeah, there's clear regression on this team that is a lot more systemic than just the talent that's on it. I completely agree with you. And I've seen Titans fans go from saying like, this is our guy, like kind of, a defensive Dan Campbell, like you said, no matter what, they're going to come out, they're going to compete, they're going to play good football. To now, those same Titans fans are calling for his job and saying that, they're completely out on him because he can no longer seem to get that out of his players. And not to say that, Tennessee's talent is exceptional because it's not at all. And he's definitely had better rosters to work with in the past. There's been, quarterback issues, all that stuff. But this is just not the same Titans team that was, in playoff contention and, winning the AFC, only 4 years ago now, which is crazy. So
you'd go ahead, John. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Zach.
As I say, when you think with him getting getting that GM kind of privilege as well last season in the off season, he'd be able to kind of get more of those players that he wants for his system to really make it work and to really implement that at a deeper level and kind of build that culture similar to what, we've had here in Detroit. But then you have things like the Tannehill injury happening, and then it's clear that their defense is struggling too. And granted, the Jags offense is pretty effective when they're playing a weaker defensive team, but you've got those kind of issues even with him kind of getting more consolidated power that have kind of had a negative effect so far. And now Levis is still working out the kinks. They completely leapfrogged Malik Willis, drafting 2 quarterbacks, back-to-back drafts with guys that were, in my opinion, kind of more glitter than gold
I mean,
after
Malik clearly
the
wasn't
draft
it
eval.
too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I know I agree. I think they don't have it figured out from a GM perspective, and like their offensive line, which not too long ago was you could very easily say was a strength, is now very much a liability for them too. I mean, to the point that they're putting defensive ends in at fullback and shit
Yeah.
like that because they don't feel confident in their ability to block with the guys that they have. So a lot of problems. I'm curious if Rabel has a job this offseason, right? I mean, I really don't know if he's going to. Not
Speaking of coaches that shouldn't have a job, questionably.
oh
When is it's not even a matter of if, it's a matter of when with Brandon Staley. I don't know. The Chargers lose a tough one at Lambeau Field to the Packers. The Packers' young team actually looked competent. I mean, they kind of put together a game, made some plays, made just enough plays to win. I will say Justin Herbert, highest graded quarterback of the week by PFF, and another loss. It's
I mean, if you account for passes that were drops, which I think there were, depending on which analytics you look at, 5 or 6 of his passes were considered drops. He would have gone I think 27 for 36 or some shit like that. Really, really good quarterback numbers. And yeah, I mean, look, credit to Green Bay. I think offensively, this was actually the best that they've looked this season. I struggle to give too much credit to that because, as we've seen, the Chargers defense, you might as well be playing against water. They just let anything happen to them, basically. And offensively, I mean, that Quentin Johnson drop at the end of the game, clear game winner, right? Had his guy beat, and he basically knees the ball through his own hands and drops it. Man, not a good look for a very high wide receiver, first round wide receiver pick. And if you're Justin Herbert, man, God, this sucks, right? He is getting Phillip Rivers did to the max right now. I mean,
they're doing a speed run
for real. It is so bad.
John, you know how much it pains me to see NFL receivers have these drop issues and just be like, why? Why couldn't I have been a little bigger, a little faster? I can't fathom it. I mean, I played receiver. I did not ever have drop problems. That was one thing I pride myself in, and I just do not this is your living. It is your professional job. There's just no excuse for it, man. It's not like these were tough catches. We just got done watching this Eagles-Chiefs game. We'll get into that later, but holy shit, man. Make a play. The ball is in your hands several times. These guys I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it.
Mark definitely had NFL tier hands and route running ability. I would say, your actual physical profile that you were born with that you can't change is probably the biggest thing to hold you back. So
yeah,
I mean, I agree, right? Catch the ball, catch the freaking ball.
It's really not that hard, man. and it's just that's the expectation. That's what you're there to do.
Yeah,
so do it.
It's rough.
Makes me sick.
So, man, I speaking again of coach. This is just a slate 3 games in a row of head coaches that should be fired. Ron Rivera, I do not think is going to be with the Commanders this season.
Right.
I think they're already
Yeah, I think they already know that.
Yeah, I mean, I think based off of what they did during the trade deadline, that's the signal that they're planning on kind of hitting reset on a few things. Biggest thing with this game is first of all, Tommy DeVito, I am shocked that he had the game that he did. And second, the Commanders truly have lost the plot. I think there were moments throughout this season where I was like, oh, this team can, do something. They're not missing a ton. You need to improve the offensive line a bit, maybe a couple of investments in a couple different areas in defense. And they just look horrible now. I mean, this Giants team is bad. They're very, very, very
Last
bad.
week on the pod, we said the Giants were the worst team in the NFL, and I mean, I think we both agreed on that pretty strongly.
I still think that after
the numbers
this
do
win,
too.
I mean, that's how bad I think it is in Washington. I mean, I just don't understand. In the NFL, it's such a win now league. It's how can you just fire the coaches? Let somebody else let Bieniemy have the rest of this year to kind of see how he what is the point of keeping that coach around when everyone in the building knows he's out? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, you're not going to compete in football games when the leader of your team, the guy that's jogging out on the field that you're running behind, he's ass out in 5 weeks. Like, that just doesn't make any sense.
No, I mean, especially at this point, I think you're right. Like, I think
just let him go.
Staley's days are clearly numbered. I mean, I think you might see him gone after Thanksgiving. But yeah, I completely agree with you, Mark. I mean, the Commanders were almost 10-point favorites in this game, and they lost by 2 scores.
If you watch DeVito play the previous weeks, like, this guy can't function. You know what? You want to hear something even crazier? Guess who has more touchdown passes this season than Zach Wilson?
Oh no,
Danny D.
Yeah, DeVito.
Tommy D.
Danny DeVito is the guy from Always Sunny, the actor, who probably could also throw more touchdowns than Zach Wilson this season.
Okay, now I would pay a lot of money to see Danny DeVito take a couple snaps at quarterback. That would be. I think he's like 4'10". That would be so fun.
Yeah, he's also 70-something years old now. But no, seriously, he has more touchdowns than Zach Wilson. I mean, I don't think people realize how bad it was for Jets fans. Like, they didn't see a touchdown for I think it was over I think it was like an hour and 2 minutes of actual game time, like actual clocked game time before a touchdown.
And that's after how many games too?
I think it was 4 games in a row where they didn't score a touchdown.
It is rough if you're a Jets fan. I mean, it's really, really rough. And I mean, talk about expectations going into this season.
And again, if Aaron Rodgers was healthy, I think that's a Super Bowl contending team. Like, that is the difference in the value of the quarterback position in this league.
I definitely do not agree, or I definitely don't disagree with you, Mark. But at the same time, I look at this Jets offensive line and the amount of turnover they've had there. I'm not sure even if Aaron Rodgers could overcome that offensive line. I mean, it's not looking good. So, I mean, we'll see what's going on next season. I assume Rodgers is still going to be around, and I assume that they're going to make some investments, some strong investments at the offensive line.
I've heard some rumors of Devontae coming back.
I've heard that.
If they get Devontae,
you want to quickly just skip to this game since we're already kind of deep into talking about Jets.
Bills. Yeah, sure.
So the Jets lost 6-32 for those that don't know the score of that game.
The under did hit, boys. Little sweaty, but the under did hit. My best bets.
There we go.
Let it be known, my best bets this week. I don't even think we said it when we first started capping the games. I'm now 34-13. I have 1 game lost in the last 4 weeks, and it was Seattle, which you can put an asterisk next to because Geno Smith got hurt mid-game. They had a 2-score lead when he got hurt. Obviously did not account for that happening, but that's my 1 loss. The Eagles took care of business. The Jets under hit, and the Seahawks choked it against the Rams.
Yeah. No, the Rams did not deserve to win that game for any of those that watched it. It sucks that Geno went down and Locke just could not really put anything together. And Seahawks, which this is going to be a systemic problem in the postseason for the Seahawks, they cannot get out of their own way penalty-wise. I think they had 150 yards of penalty yards this game, something in that vein. They still could have hung on and won this game, and it was just pass interferences and holding calls and false starts and you name it. The Seahawks were getting it called on them. So pretty rough. I'm confused at this point as to what game we're supposed to be talking about, frankly.
Dude, there's too many to count. There's too many. Let's just keep it in order. Let's go to the Raiders. Miami takes care of the Raiders. My taking point from this game is Jalen goddamn Ramsey. 1, incredible that he's back playing at a high level so quick from that injury. 2, the guy makes 2 interceptions. He's going to be on the Aliens a week. It's coming soon. Check it out. Keep it, subscribe to our channel. You'll see it coming. But he's going to be on there. He had 2 picks. One of them was an incredible diving interception where he chased the guy in coverage across the field and jumped the route and made a crazy diving pick. The second one was to seal the game in the end zone where he dove across the guy's body and high pointed the football in front of the receiver to seal the game. Just so everyone's clear, he has a 0.0 passer rating. Quarterbacks have a 0.0 passer rating when he's targeted.
I want to take this take and then take last year's shout out Jalen Ramsey. He sucked. Put him next year.
Put him back together. No, but he changes this team. It's when one player can make that kind of impact on your team. you see why he gets the big bucks, right? And if he's playing like that and Miami's defense looks like they look, with the offense continuing to do what they do and Tyreek Hill continuing to have a MVP caliber season, I think it's worth noting he's on track to have over 2,000 yards receiving. No one's ever done that.
Okay. Worth noting really quick, both Achane and Tyreek got hurt this game. Both are questionable to return for this coming week. Neither injuries are super serious, but just something to keep an eye out for, because one thing about this team offensively is they are absolutely dominant, but it seems like when they lose some of those key pieces, because I think really like the reason why this is so good along with scheme offensively is just the fact that there are too many guys that are lightning fast on the team. And when you start taking those away, it kind of changes the equation a little bit.
Speed kills.
Speed 100% kills, and the Miami Dolphins, when they're healthy, are proof of that. All right, Texans at Cardinals. I think the CJ Stroud conversations, they snuck away with this one, but those conversations are very loud about him potentially being an MVP candidate. And
they win again, man. It was in Houston, I think, John, but the
oh, that's my bad.
Because they wore the red helmets and the blue. That's the only
which, by the way, looked sick.
so sick. Yeah. The Texans are doing everything right now. I mean, they can't mess anything up. They drafted well. They found their guy. They're winning games. They have a quarterback that was, everyone's like locked for Rookie of the Year. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, holy shit, this guy's an MVP candidate.
Tank Dell.
Tank Dell, man.
Holy
I mean,
shit,
Tank Dell is like the next coming of like a Tyreek Hill caliber player. Like, he's so fast. He's so quick. Again, little sneak peek hint. They'll both be in the Aliens of the Week. I think it's the third week in a row those two are going to be in the Aliens of the Week, by the way. It's getting out of hand.
Earned, by the way.
So. Earned. Totally earned. No one's questioning
earned.
it. I mean, no one's questioning it, but it's crazy. I mean, I think that's the most weeks in a row we've had an Alien of the Week so far. I mean, the throw he made, the route that Tank Dell ran on that, the double move and then the scramble, and Stroud found him in the back of the end zone. Just some next level plays. He did throw 3 picks in this game. Stroud did, but you saw him after the game. He said, "Listen, Steph Curry keeps shooting. I'm gonna keep doing my thing. I have to get better, have to get smarter, but I'm never gonna be afraid to rip a ball into a window or try to make a tight throw." Like, he's confident. You can see him growing, and the Texans are a legitimate team to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, his TD to interception ratio is nothing to sneeze at, even with 3 picks in one game, too. I mean, I think like he has 4, maybe 5 picks in the entire season. Like, the dude's crushing it.
He's killing it, man.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of a game with a high number of interceptions, and probably the most exhilarating game I have seen as a Lions fan this season. I mean, talk about just the high that I had after winning this one. This game was nuts. The Lions played bad football for 55 of 60 minutes this game. Their time of possession was 19 minutes, and they had 4 turnovers. Mark, do you know how many teams that had a time of possession of less than 20 minutes and 4 turnovers? How many of them have won football games in the past 30 years?
0-48.
And now it is 1-48. So, for those who haven't watched this game, if you have the ability to replay it, I just highly suggest watching.
Just watch the last 4 minutes.
Yeah,
just watch
it
the
was
last
a nail
4 minutes.
biter.
So crazy.
That whole fourth quarter.
And look, we have a little POV. Mark was in attendance and got to see the Montgomery revenge touchdown in real time.
Fun fact, John, I was sitting, somehow my seats were gifted to me. Somehow I was in the family, like the player's family area. So I was sitting next to Derek Barnes's pregnant girlfriend / wife. I'm not really sure. And then 2 rows in front of me were Montgomery's posse of family, and they had like 20 dudes deep, all wearing Montgomery stuff. And you could tell this game meant something to him. And I went with one of my buddies, and I turned to him on that last drive. First of all, people started leaving with about 6 minutes left in the game. After that field goal by the Bears, people started leaving. Like a decent amount, I'd say 20%, 25% of the crowd left. And I looked at my buddy and I was like, we're staying. Like, we have to see this thing out. And I said on the last drive after J-Mo's touchdown, first of all, that end zone too that I was in, is where all of the action happened. First touchdown of the game happened there. J-Mo's touchdown, Amon-Ra's touchdown, the Hutch strip sack, the game-winning touchdown for Monty, all happened in that end zone. So I had like the perfect seat for everything. Nothing happened in the other.
That game-winning TD was prophetic, dude. Like literally,
I'm telling you,
as soon as they got there on the field, I was like, "You're handing this to Montgomery."
You're handing John. I said it when we got the ball back, because I have Montgomery in fantasy too. So I turned to my buddy. I'm like, listen, they're gonna get it down to the 1. They're gonna give it to Monty, and he's gonna score. This place is gonna erupt. It's gonna erupt. And exactly when Gibbs gets tackled on the 1, I look at him and go, "Holy shit, it's gonna happen." There's no doubt in my mind it's gonna happen. And it exactly happens. It was like the coolest thing ever, dude. Like the crowd erupted. Just so much goes into that. The fact that it was Monty who scored it. Obviously, the comeback was insane. Goff looked horrible the whole game. I mean, the interceptions were bad, and it was nobody's fault but his own. I mean, they were all just quarterback's fault interceptions, like really, really bad.
He had 2 that could have been picked off, too, on top of it, too.
I know. 2 that should have been pick sixes on top of it. It was really, really bad. And the defense stinks. The Lions' defense is not good. You can't convince me that they are good. It's like they didn't practice how to stop a running quarterback. Like Justin Fields, you knew was going to play. Dan Campbell said it on last week that he expects to see Fields, and they did not at all prepare for his legs at all. Like, I mean, they ran zone read probably over 15 times, and every single time was like you're looking at.
They are horrible against mobile quarterbacks. I do want to quickly say the defense, no matter what happens, is not going to look great if the offense turns over the ball 4 times. I mean,
yeah, but John, this isn't a new problem. I mean, we couldn't stop the Chargers last week, and Herbert's not exactly a mobile quarterback. We couldn't stop the Ravens. Anytime we play a functional offense, it seems like this defense has not looked good. Like, so they need to fix some things defensively if we
100%.
really want to contend. Because right now we're not even a good defense. Like, we're a bad defense. Like, there's nothing we're really doing well. I mean, we got the strip sack at the end of the game, but we really didn't create pressure on Fields the rest of the game. So it's a problem without a doubt. Can't stop the run, can't pressure the quarterback, and you can't cover great. It's definitely a problem. But offensively, like you said, you turn the ball over like that, sloppy game, you still find a way to win. It's a lot better to be 8-2 and have a bad game like that and look at the film and get better after it than it is to have to take a loss and look at that film.
Also, the goldfish memory of Jared Goff to throw that many interceptions and still have the freaking cojones to thread the balls to Amon-Ra. Seriously, like hats off to Goff for that. Because look, as a quarterback, no matter how good you are, you're gonna have games like this every once in a while. It just happens. Goff has traditionally been very good at taking care of the football the past 2 years. This was not his game, clearly. For him to recognize, hey, we got to win this game, and I'm going to have to make some ballsy throws to do it, and still doing that is crazy. Like,
John, can you pull up the clip of the J-Mo? Yeah. So this is the J-Mo touchdown.
I want so much of this.
This is the J-Mo touchdown. This is to make it a 1-score game. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the breakdown of the coverage and what's happening. I'll do my best to verbally explain it. But they basically lined up in a tight alignment, a squeezed formation with Amon-Ra and J-Mo stacked, right? What this does is you don't know who's going to go in, who's going to go out, where they're going to break. Obviously, defenses are going to over-prepare for Amon-Ra because he's so heavily targeted and because he's such a consistent go-to guy for Goff. So what happens is they play like a one-high safety look. The safety gets beat vertically because J-Mo's speed, right? Then the corner, who's supposed to also have that deep third of the field, gets nosy on Amon-Ra because of, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're going to have eyes on him. And so J-Mo actually runs and gets behind a deep third corner and a deep third safety, and then Goff puts this right on the money. But it's the fear of Amon-Ra that makes this so wide open, mixed with the speed of J-Mo. And then obviously a great ball from Jared Goff. But
again, hats
great
off
play design.
to Ben Johnson. Yeah, hats off to him. And also, like, that is a safety's worst nightmare, to have an insane vertical threat and then the under with some of the best hands heavily targeted.
And really, John, it wasn't even the safety's fault. Like, the corner has deep third, which is where that ball was caught. And the reason it was open is because he hesitated and didn't get on top of J-Mo because he was respecting Amon-Ra. So he got nosy, saw Amon-Ra outbreaking, he jumped that, realized, oh shit, this J-Mo's in my zone behind me, and before he could get there, Goff delivered a dime in between the zone coverage for the score. It was a great play call at the time. And even before the play, J-Mo even said Amon-Ra, like when they were stacked, and Amon-Ra said, hey, it's coming to you, it's coming to you, it's coming to you. And because Amon-Ra, just being the smart receiver that is, he's a savvy guy. He could recognize the coverage and saw what was about to happen. So just really cool, just insight to a play that, helped them win that game, but you don't really always hear the details behind it. And hopefully, if you hadn't already heard that, you did hear.
Yeah, so look, I said that I am going to wait to have my opinion on Jameson Williams until after the season is over, and I'm going to maintain that. Two things I want to mention with this. If that Chargers touchdown did not get called back, Jameson Williams would have a touchdown in 3 out of the 6 games that he's played so far. Additionally, this is the first game in his entire career with the Lions where he's had over 50% of the offensive snaps. He had, I think, 40 snaps this game. So 2 things to kind of keep an eye on moving forward here. It took Gibbs, 8 weeks to really get going offensively. JMO is now 6 games into this season, and last year he was recovering from an ACL tear. I'm simply saying, if you're completely out on this guy, I think you are too early to that. And if you're all in on him, you have not seen shit to have that opinion in the first place. Just let this dude develop, for the love of God. One thing that is for sure, though, is this man has horrible taste in food. So before the season started, he was melting American cheese onto hot Cheetos. He was just putting the slices on and throwing it in the microwave. And then the newest phenomenon that has happened, for those that aren't aware, is the JMO burger. Mark, do you know what the JMO burger is?
I've seen it, yeah.
Zach?
No. I've heard about it. I don't know what it is.
This dude is putting Oreo McFlurry onto his McDouble.
Oh, my Lord.
And people in Detroit are trying it in celebration of winning the game.
People say it's actually not half bad.
No, they said it's pretty good. They said it actually complements the burger. And look, I'm a fries in my Wendy's Frosty guy. Like, I'll do that. So honestly, like, this isn't too many jumps from that. The thing that freaks me out about it is like the fact that there's meat involved. It just kind of trips me out. Like, meat and ice cream does not sound like a good combo. And the other condiments, right? Like ketchup on that. Like, that just, those two things mix.
John Drew has a good point in the comments. Is it weirder to be doing that as a Lions fan, trying that burger with that on there, or shave your eyebrows in the Minnesota Dobbs mania?
What is the NFC North this year?
Dude, the NFC North, what's going to happen if Jordan Love and the Packers somehow steal the division? What are they going to start doing? What's the whole Jordan Love thing?
Yeah. We don't have to say anything about the Bears because they suck, so we don't have
to
worry about that. The minute Justin Fields started dancing is when everything started.
Hey, how good is it too that Hutch, against an Ohio State quarterback, gets the strip sack to seal the game the week of the game? Like, if that's not a little glimpse into what Saturday's going to look like, then I don't know what is. And he missed a huge missed opportunity to flash the M after doing that.
Yeah.
He got all excited and punted the ball, God knows, 3,000 feet into the air. But, like, how do you not flash the M even a little bit during that celebration? Like, you have to have
the punt was hard, though.
The punt was cool, dude. And honestly, it was right by me. I was, like, hoping that thing was going to come off a little bit weird to me. Would have mossed some little girl to steal that ball. But, I mean, whatever. What are you going to do?
The other big question that I want to ask, like, Justin Fields had a really good game overall, I would say.
Dude, he's lethal with his legs, man.
They
use him like a high school quarterback.
Right. What the hell are they going to do when it comes to them probably having the 1st and 2nd overall picks in the draft?
I don't know, but I know they'll mess it up.
Get him a weapon.
If I know the Bears, I know they'll mess it up.
Yeah, Ryan Poole sucks as a GM. I'll say it. I mean, you blew all that cap space on linebackers that clearly couldn't do shit this game. So I don't know, like, because now you're not in the same favorable cap situation that you were in. You blew, I want to say, $110 million of cap space on 2 linebackers and a defensive end that you traded a 2nd round pick for. I mean, what, like, because you could go Marvin Harrison Jr. and you could go offensive line or defensive end, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think they're more likely to trade Fields away and try to, grab Caleb Williams or Drake May or any of these other guys.
I think you trade Fields.
They'd flip him?
Yeah,
I think you send Fields out. I think you could get pretty good value for him, especially if he keeps playing like he did.
Yeah.
I mean, the ball he threw to DJ Moore was a dime too. It's not like it was only his legs. Like, he definitely made some plays and some plays on the run too.
He's a good quarterback. I'll say.
He had a pretty high completion percentage too.
Yeah, he's not. He's tradable, and you could get a good amount of value for him. And, I don't know. I don't know who the right answer is. We'll get into that when we get to the draft season, but I know one thing, the Bears will probably mess it up. So,
all right, we talked a lot about this Lions game. I think it was warranted though. This is one of the craziest games I've seen all season.
8-2, baby.
8-2 for the first. By the way, John F. Kennedy was alive and our president the last time that the Lions were 8-2. So
let's hope we don't blow up the 8-2 like what happened to John F. Kennedy. Let's just hope that doesn't happen.
Too soon?
No, hell no, it's not too soon. It's been how many years is that? Not good
60,
at math.
It's been 60
years.
I'm just messing around. It's not too soon.
Never,
our generation thrives on dark humor. Unfortunately, people make jokes like on shit like basically right after it happens. All right, Steelers Browns. So is Kenny Pickett the worst quarterback in the AFC North, even with the two of the starting quarterbacks hurt? Or is it just Matt Canada sucking that bad? They do not throw in the middle of the field at all. I don't understand.
It's a combination of both, John. It's a combination of both. Their offense has never been good this season. They've won all these games, and we haven't talked down about the Steelers because they've somehow found ways to win, all of these games. But the Browns that's the talking point. The Steelers are going to win games they shouldn't win, and then they'll lose games, and they'll be right about that 9-8, 8-9 every single year because Mike Tomlin's a great coach and because they have a great defense. But the Browns are the talk. The Browns deserve all of the credit to still win this game after losing your starting quarterback. I mean, with all of the crazy stuff they've had happen on their offensive side of the ball, this defense is one of the best we've seen in a long time in this league. They just signed Joe Flacco, which they bring in a veteran quarterback. I don't know if he's going to end up starting or not or what the deal is, but if you can just get a guy who can function a little bit and not turn the ball over, this is going to be a team that's dangerous enough to win this division and win playoff games. I'll tell you one thing right now. If you ask anybody in the AFC who they do not want to see in a playoff game, it's the Browns. Yeah. Because if you're Mahomes, if you're Lamar Jackson, if you're the Dolphins, if you're the Bills, if you're any of these teams, okay, you do not want to see your high-powered offense get neutralized by a defense that's that damn good. That's all I know.
Yeah, they truly are a historically good defense. And it's unfortunate, right? You get these teams like the Jets, like the Browns that are so good defensively and just are completely up against it offensively. But honestly, it's crazy to say, by the way, that, the Lions and the Browns are both very, very much in the Super Bowl conversation. I mean, that, you woke somebody up out of a coma from 5 years ago and they hear that news, they'd be like, what? So
yeah,
it is crazy.
Well, I don't know about the Browns Super Bowl just because, I don't know. I guess weirder things have happened. Trent Dilfer and the Ravens won one. And I don't even think John knew who Trent Dilfer was 2 months ago.
I don't think anybody still knows who he is.
Yeah, they won a Super Bowl.
2 months ago. Okay.
Because I think we had this conversation on the podcast a few months ago.
Oh, okay. So you're just calling me out for being ignorant. My bad.
I mean, it was a long time ago, but you've gotten educated.
I've tried.
But
I tried.
That's why you bring a guy in like Flacco, though, to manage the game. He can throw, short yardage passes, little dinks and dunks. Maybe Amari Cooper breaks one off every now and then. But he's a guy you drive down, you burn some clock, you get points on the board however you can, and then your defense comes out and you just mollywop whoever you're playing against.
It's a model that's working, and I'd rather have Flacco than a young quarterback, right? I mean, and they have a running game, so
I was going to say even without Chubb, I mean Ford and Hunt.
I mean Kareem Hunt and Ford have definitely been carrying it, and I mean, I would not. I mean, if you're an AFC team, you don't want to see the Browns early. Yeah. That's all I know.
All right, Cowboys Panthers. This game I think went as everybody expected. Cowboys beat up on a bad team.
Close for a little while. Deron Bland is a defensive player of the year candidate. I mean, he just tied the NFL record for pick sixes in a season with still plenty of games left. It's ridiculous. It's honestly impressive what he's doing. He might be an alien of the week as well. Keep an eye out for it, but it's impressive, man. The Cowboys are getting hot at the right time, maybe, or is it just a matter of a bad team? I feel like they're getting hot.
I don't know. Who do they have ahead on the schedule? Because I think that matters a lot. Maybe we can just scroll down and preview. I mean, they're playing the Commanders, right? So that's probably a win right there. I mean,
and that's a divisional game too, so that's a good win for them to have.
I hate the Cowboys so much. I don't want to. I feel like this is literally like I feel like I'm going insane because I have gone through this set of mental pathways with the Dallas Cowboys more times than I can count over my life, where like season starts, they're like, whoa, like this might be the best team in the league. They lose to some team they shouldn't. Everybody's like,
John.
okay, let's calm down. Then they start playing hot in the middle of the season, and then they start showing their weaknesses again towards the end of the season, and then they have a first round out in the playoffs.
It'll be a
How
first
many
round exit for
times
sure. Rinse
have
and
we
repeat.
John.
seen this story?
John, do you know what's going to happen?
The Cowboys are going to play the Lions in Ford Field for the
And beat
playoffs.
us. Yeah,
No,
that's
they're
what's gonna happen, dude.
Stop
So
it.
like, John, I don't want to speak into existence, but that is a likely matchup for us in the playoffs this year, and I'm just putting it out there. That could very well happen, and then I might, we might not have an episode air for 3 months. We might be in a dark state.
No, I will come out and still trash talk the Cowboys no matter what. I hate this team.
They're like the Yankees fans of the NFL. Just insufferable.
I don't think there's a
year-round.
worse possibility for the Lions this year than that happening.
Than the Cowboys.
I'd rather not make the playoffs.
Oh, stop it. Relax.
I can't handle it, John. I can't handle them coming to Ford Field and in our best year of our lifetimes, they beat us in the playoffs at Ford Field in our first playoff game.
Not going to happen. Not an option.
All right. That's why we got to get the bye. We got to get the bye.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's more likely that we see the Vikings, which that I'm not super stoked on either, frankly, because just playing the
Give
same
me the
team
Vikings, dude. You kidding me? Compared to the
Yeah, but-
Cowboys?
Playing the same team 3 times is never fun. So I mean, because that's like both teams know each other so well by that point in the season. There's a number.
It's never easy, but
Yeah,
dude.
there's- I mean, that's how Tom Brady has a Super Bowl ring, right? I mean, Saints weren't able to get it done a third time in a row because Brady finally had him figured out. Speaking of Tampa, the 49ers look like they're playing same old 49ers football. It's like that 3-game losing streak never happened.
Brock Purdy's back.
Brock Purdy's back.
all the way back.
Yeah. Do we have any questions about this team? Because offensively, they looked freaking disgusting this game. Brandon Ayuk still, in my opinion, is an underrated receiver. Like, I don't think he gets enough credit. And I get it because that team's stacked. You got, CMC popped off this game. Debo's getting worked back into the mix. But holy shit, Brandon Ayuk is good at football.
I mean, they have weapons. Like it's nobody has more to play with offensively as a play caller than Shanahan, and it's every week a different guy steps up and has a bigger day. I mean, McCaffrey's back on a touchdown streak. Kittle had a big day. Ayuk had a big day. Purdy is, doing things that you would never imagine a Mr. Irrelevant pick would do. My only question would be, they took another injury on their defense again, so it's like. And they have, the 3 losses, and they have a pretty tough schedule remaining as well. The most favorable thing for the Lions right now is that the 49ers and the Eagles still play each other. The Eagles have a tough stretch coming up, and the Niners don't have, an easy stretch coming up. So, the Lions have to take care of business here and win all the games that they should, and maybe you can afford maybe one more loss, and I think that you're probably the 1 seed. That's in my opinion, because I think that the
These
Eagles are
teams
going.
tough stretches, and they play one another, and the Lions don't play either. So, no, you're not wrong. I mean, look, 1 seed, 2 seed, I'm happy with either, right? I'm not going to get greedy.
I'd rather have the 1 seed, dude. Give me the 1 seed.
100%. You want the playoffs to run through Ford Field. I mean, that place is going to be rocking. All right, we covered Seahawks, Rams. We covered Jets, Bills. So Vikings, Broncos. Man, it's like, is it too early to say that Sean
Don't say
Payton's
it.
turning this team around?
I knew you were gonna say it.
Is he turning the team around? No, I'm legitimately asking a question here. Russell Wilson's back to making some clutch plays when he needs to. I mean, Cortland Sutton's crazy good. Patrick Surtain's crazy good. Defense is playing a little bit better. Like, I'm not saying this team, is a freaking playoff team by any means, but you're seeing improvement. And I don't know, man. Like, this Vikings team is no joke.
The problem is, John, is they might be a playoff team. They have the longest winning streak in the NFL right now.
Number 2 in their division now.
They're number 2 in their division now. Russ is looking like you're getting shades of old Russ. Sean Payton seems to have somehow won this locker room over when you least expect it. I mean, after they lost that Jets game, I thought he was donezo. I mean, that was like the perfect, shouldn't have opened your mouth, shouldn't have went there, shouldn't have said that. You deserve all the karma coming your way. and all of a sudden he turns it around right when you think that they're gonna just plummet. And the opposite happened. Now they're winning. They're rattling off wins.
They're 5-5 right now. It is. They literally, like they could 100% be in the hunt. Especially the AFC is not shaking out how anyone expected right now this season. I mean, it is anybody's, opportunity to make the playoffs unless you're the Patriots.
Back-to-back weeks too, with Russ making an incredible throw and Sutton being on the receiving end of it to, kind of clinch the game. And I mean, I don't know, man. You have to give them credit. Like winning football games in the NFL is not easy to do. They've won 4 straight, and I mean, people are talking about them, right? Like, I hate them. I can't forgive them after that 70 burger that when I did put them in my best bets. I can never ever trust them again.
Forever in the ticker.
I mean, you can't trust them ever after something like that. But they're doing it. They're doing the damn thing, and they're definitely a team to be concerned about. I'm just happy to see the Vikings lose and kind of give the Lions a little breathing room.
Yeah, I mean, now, ahead by 2 games. And, man, I'll say it again, too. Dobbs is, he still had a really good game, by the way.
Really good game.
I mean, he's legit. And he seems to be gelling really well with this offense. They're getting Justin Jefferson back, I think, next week. So definitely be on the lookout for that, too. That's a pretty – between Addison, who, by the way, has been off to a great start as a rookie. You have Addison, you have Hawkinson, and Jefferson. So they like the Suns out there on their receiving.
Sounds like the founding fathers, dude.
The founding Vikings. They invented football. And then, of course, the game that we just got done watching, Eagles KC. My main takeaway from this game is that Kansas City's wide receivers beat Kansas City. I mean, this game felt very under control, and they just could not capitalize offensively on any opportunity they got. Kelsey even had a pretty bad drop at one point, and then MVS had a horrible drop on that what could have been a game-winning drive, and that would have been a game-winning touchdown right through his hands. I mean,
Watson had the drop on that last 4th down play too.
Watson
that somehow
really
did
drop.
Hit him right in the hands. I mean, again, it makes me sick seeing professionals drop balls at such a high rate. It never makes sense to me. But I'm not going to hide the fact that Mahomes didn't play well either. Mahomes had plenty of balls that should have been caught, no doubt about it, but he missed a few bad throws. The interception in the red zone was awful. He just doesn't look the same and hasn't looked this. He hasn't looked like an MVP Mahomes, Super Bowl Mahomes. Not 1 second of this season has he looked like, okay, here he is. Like, not one time.
He
hasn't even been on the Aliens of the Week yet, John.
Yeah, which is crazy because last season he was doing all sorts of alien shit. I don't think he has trust with his receivers nor his offensive line this season. I don't think he feels like he has time to throw, and I feel like he doesn't think anybody's going to catch what he throws at them anyways. And I think it's causing him to get way too much in his head, holds on to the ball way longer than we're used to seeing. He doesn't expect guys to go and make plays when he's trying to do crazy shit. It's just, I agree with you. It's not the same. Also, this Eagles defensive line is terrifying.
Scary.
I don't care how good the offensive line is. Like, you should be fearful of what this defensive line can do because they get so much inside penetration between Cox and Carter, and then don't forget Jordan Davis as well. And their defensive ends are really damn good too. Scary, very scary.
Weirdly enough, I was more impressed with the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense to me looked even better than the Eagles defense tonight. And really, the Chiefs kind of gave this game away. I mean, they just let the Eagles hang around. You had Kelsey fumbled in the red zone, and then you had Mahomes throw the pick in the red zone. I mean, that's 2 field goals at minimum off the board there. You just can't have red zone turnovers if you're gonna be a Super Bowl contending team. I'm just not impressed with what I've seen out of Mahomes and the Chiefs. The defense is lights out. You're just waiting for the Chiefs to figure it out offensively, and eventually they will. I think they're getting too cute, honestly, John, and trying to target too many different guys. Like, Watson led them in targets tonight. He's like their 6th best receiver on the roster. Why is he getting the most targets? It doesn't you have guys like Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore that are getting like 3 targets. And I mean, where's Justin Ross? Is he hurt? I don't know. He had a great camp. He looked like he was going to be a guy.
And I think Andy Reid just hates Justin Ross.
Dude, Andy Reid just tries to get everybody the ball and tries to
except
it's just like, Ross. Dude. Yeah, I mean, Rice had 2 targets. Kelsey, I think, only had 5 or 6 targets. I just don't get it. You got to get your best guys the ball, and there's just no reason Watson should be your leading targeted receiver, especially when you had 3 drops. Like, dude, if he's having a day, he's having a day. But
yeah, it was. I mean, they don't look great offensively. Also, I've never seen so much movement on the tush push. I think every time the Eagles ran that, they got like 3 yards. You literally could see bodies flying.
Dude,
like,
they could have ran that every play and won the game.
Probably.
I seriously, they were getting like 4 or 5 yards a carry. I'm waiting for him to do it too. I think honestly,
I
Zach,
think Jason
that'd be like
Kelce
one of
is
the coolest things ever.
every time that they do it. So that's
dude,
why.
if I was that good at a play, I would run it until somebody honestly stops it. Like I would literally.
They're not getting a guaranteed 1 yard with it anymore. They literally got like
they get
3
like
or
3
4
or 4, dude.
Jalen
Jalen Hurts looks like he's walking. He looks like he's just like walking through like a storm, and everybody's just like jumping on top of him, and he's just literally slowly power walking his way to 5 yards.
It's crazy.
You can't game plan against it either. I feel like
there's nothing you can do.
Or even watching another team try to do it themselves, it's not the same. It doesn't work as well.
Oh, also, sorry, one last thing I want to mention about this game. Jalen Carter on the attempted spike interception.
He almost got it. I've never seen anyone try that.
No one,
ever.
and now that's like going to be the new like challenge, right? Like
for sure.
Like how there's like a secret like quest inside of like a video game that you're playing, where it's like, hey, if you do this, you're the GOAT. Like that is 100% going to be the.
You know what would be smarter?
The Myles Garrett vault.
You know what would be smarter is if he dove with his head facing up and try to get your belly under it, so it bounces off your fat roll, and hopefully someone else catches it. That's what they should do.
Is this possible? I mean,
he almost had that.
In my lifetime, I want to see this happen just once.
That would be one of the craziest. That would be one of the craziest turning points. Because if you're spiking the ball, like obviously it's crunch time, close score, and if you steal the ball like that on it, because when they're spiking it. I mean, that would have been one of the best plays of all time.
I'm trying to think like the center has to have his legs open to obviously hand the ball off. Yeah, so there's like no way that you can prepare for that.
Someone's gonna eventually pull it off.
All right, Jalen Carter, you're on to something. I'll give you credit for that one.
That bro Cook.
Yeah,
should have been a Lion.
I mean, it's so tough because Gibbs is so good.
Hey, I'm talking about Campbell, dude. We could have finagled a way into getting both Gibbs and Carter. 100% could have done that. Just saying. Not even potentially could have. 100% could have done it.
I don't know. Anyways, moving into next week's games. Obviously, a lot of short weeks here. You have 4 teams playing on a short week. 3 of which on Thanksgiving, 1 of which on Black Friday. Let's start off with Lions Packers. By the way, Mark's already said it twice, but I'll say it a third time. Mark is 34-13 in picking spreads and underovers for the year. I'm 23-24, still 1 out. I went 2-2 last week. I'm pissed about it. And Zach, even though you're not going to have a face on the board here, we'd love to hear your picks as we go through.
Absolutely.
As well. All right, Mark. We got Lions minus touchdown and 0.5. I'm surprised about the over on this one, frankly. 47.5 feels a little high. I think they're banking on Green Bay's defense just sucking, if that's the case. I like the Lions to cover here. I mean, I think it's Thanksgiving. This is probably the biggest, Thanksgiving game that the Lions have had in a long time. I mean, Bills last year, but I don't think people's expectations were fully turned around at that point in the season yet. Yeah, I like the Lions to win here. I like the Lions to cover.
I agree. I don't think the Packers are a good team really whatsoever. I think that they kind of got lucky with one last week against the Chargers. And I think the Lions will treat this week of practice as if they did lose last week because they deserved to lose. And I think the coaches will make them feel that and understand, like, you're this close to losing to one of the worst teams in the league. Like, we need to get our shit together. We need to fix some stuff. And we need to be even better against the Packers come Thanksgiving. So I think they come out with a different edge than we saw last week. And I think they get it done.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Jordan Love does not have that kind of mobility that they seem to be struggling with on defense. Not to say that they can't score some points, but that really seems to be the Lions' Achilles heel. All right, taking a look at the next Thanksgiving game, Commanders at Dallas. Dallas is favored by 11 points. I think I'm going to add that to my best bets with all that shit talk. I think that they'll cover this.
You are such a coward, dude.
I hate them. I'm not trying to say that they can't win football games. I just hate them. I have to be a little bit more, cautious about like how open I am about that. By the way, now that I live in Texas, like even though I'm in Austin, like you never know when a Dallas freaking loser.
What are you
Dallas
scared of
fans-
them?
I mean, they might get upset. Might try to fight me.
Whatever, dude. All right. I'm taking the Cowboys as well. Not my best bets. They're going to take care of business. The Commanders are a lost team. They don't have anything to play for. They don't even know who their coach is. The Cowboys are hungry. They've been beating up on bad teams. It's a pretty easy pick.
More of the same for sure.
Give me the boys.
Zach likes the boys as well. All right, we got San Fran at the Seahawks for your Thursday night game, and the Seahawks are favored, or not favored. Sorry, they are getting 6.5 points. Yeah, I assume I haven't heard any word on Geno yet. Is Drew Lock going to be starting?
Pete Carroll said that he expects Geno to start,
Okay.
but it's not a guarantee.
Yeah, for whatever reason, San Fran always struggles with this team. I don't know why. So I'll take the Seahawks to cover here on Thanksgiving night.
I will as well. In Seattle, 12th man. Brock Purdy against a tough defense. Secondary, that kind of baits and traps you into making some throws he probably shouldn't. I expect a couple turnovers out of Brock Purdy, and I think the Seahawks cover.
Zach?
Yeah, I think the Niners win, but the Hawks cover for sure. It'll be a closer game.
That's what we want, right? We're digesting all that turkey in our stomachs. We want a good football game to, probably slowly fall into.
This will be a
nap
grudge
too.
match.
I'm also rooting heavily for the Seahawks because I have them as a future to win the division. So big game for that, and also good for Lions if the Niners
in the playoff
lose
picture.
a game.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. All right, Black Friday game. I believe the first Black Friday game in NFL history. We have the Dolphins at the Jets. The Jets are getting 10 points. However, the under-over is 40. So that's interesting because that's essentially suggesting that Miami's going to blow the Jets out. Like, is that essentially what we're saying here?
That's how I see it going.
Yeah. I really don't know what to think of this game. I guess I'll take Miami to win. Win and cover, I guess. Not sure. Obviously not adding this one to my best bets.
Am I crazy to put the Jets in my best bets?
You might be a little bit, but honestly, their defense, I think, is enough to have faith in. Drew immediately typed yes. Yeah, literally as soon as that left your mouth, I saw yes in the chat.
Drag it to my best bets. Listen, I'm 34-13. I can do whatever the hell I want, and usually it happens. I'm putting them in my best bets. Here's why. Why. Is it crazy? Sure. But you won't say it's crazy when it actually happens. I've said many crazy things, and John sits there and snarls at me, and then it ends up happening, and then he's like, "Oh shit,
snarls."
Another perfect week. But here we go.
I'm not the person that has two different reminders inside of the ticker of my past mistakes haunting me. So
yes, that is true. But you're also not 34-13. I like to live in the now.
That's fair. That's
and
fair.
I'll tell you what I'm talking about in the now. Zach Wilson, ass out, not in the picture. You got a young, hungry quarterback in. Is Boyle any good? No, he's not. I know he's not. But the Jets defense is really, really good. And Tua might struggle against that pass rush. Might turn the ball over a little bit. The Jets have kind of like a new motivation without Zach Wilson playing. It's kind of new life. Black Friday home game. 10 points is a lot. I mean, I think they cover 10. Sue me.
Okay. Drew, do you want to get in on the? I mean, we might as well just get all of the PSP crew in the chat right now. He just said no. He's like, F off. All right. Saints at Falcons. Falcons are getting 1 point.
What? What a garbage game.
Yeah, I frankly I kind of want to hate here, like just on really the spread, the Saints, the Falcons. This is a trash tier game. I'm not gonna lie.
You're a Saints fan, dude. Like,
I
what is
know.
even? John
You
is
have-
like the fakest Saints fan
That's
there
no,
ever
no,
is.
no. That's not
How
true.
do you
I'm a
not
Saints
put? How do you
fan.
not put that in your best bets? How do you
no,
not?
You're not. First of all, you're not gonna bully me into this again. Second of all,
You're not a fan of the team, then, dude.
Carr's
There's no way.
Hold on. Derek Carr isn't healthy.
You know who is?
Famous Jameis, who
Yes.
threw 2 interceptions last game.
And he throws almost as many touchdowns in his career as he throws picks. Always.
Sure. I have no clue what to make of Arthur Smith's Falcons. They're a good team on paper that seems to make the weirdest offensive decisions. Yeah, I would say so.
Who's their quarterback?
That's a great question.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of, I wanted to mention this, and I was going to wait till we started talking about this game. Justin Fields might be in a Falcons uniform next year. Chances?
Yeah, maybe, but don't change the fact that you're not putting the Saints in your best bets when you say you're a diehard Saints fan.
Dude, I have to get even, and I have to be careful about that.
So you don't believe in them?
Yeah, you're right. I have a lot of questions about the Saints, and as a fan, I've been saying that all season.
But they're playing a bad Falcons team in division, and they're a 1-point favorite.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. There's too many
I'd
question marks.
hammer the Saints. I don't even care. If I had a best bet, I'd put them there. Same with the Finns. I think the Finns will get the
Is
under.
Heineke healthy?
I think they're going with
I think
Desmond.
he's hurt. Yeah, they're going with Ritter. I think Heineke's hurt.
Dude, John.
Already
I mean,
never committed.
If Desmond Ritter, if you don't have faith in your defense to stop Desmond Ritter, and you don't have faith in Jameis to throw a couple tutties, I mean, that's all it's going to take. Whatever, John. Ride with your Cowboys. That's
You know
your
what?
true fandom.
Just out-
That's
just
your
out
true
of spite.
fandom. Mission success. All right, let's ride it out. I want you to win more. I want you to be in the winning column. You're one game away from being in the winning column.
All right.
If we're both positive against the spread this year, John, when it's all said and done, this might be the best betting podcast ever listened to. You understand that? Our combined record might be like literally better. I mean, you look at Pardon My Take, you look at any of these quote unquote experts that have a huge following, they don't win you money. You come over to Practice Squad Pod and you ride our asses, you do win money. That's all I know. So
if you bet $100 on every spread we picked, you would be up a lot of money right now.
a lot of money. I'm not a math guy. Maybe Drew can figure that out. But we'd be up. Yeah. Listen, and if you have a gambling problem, you need to get help. But if you like winning money, it's not a problem.
Dude, I love and I agree that
No MJ shit in here.
sports gambling has become a bit of a problem for the United States. Pretty much post COVID because we had freaking nothing better to do.
It was always a problem, John. Now it's just a legal problem.
It's 100%. But I couldn't stop thinking about this meme of like, you guys know, like that like miner like almost at diamonds and it like shows them turning around. It's like what happens if you quit sports gambling?
Yeah, it's the truth, man. Imagine not betting with me. Imagine not riding my bets this year. Couldn't be me.
I lost that parlay by half a yard in the playoffs, 2 years ago, John. I have not bet since. Have not hit a bet since.
Dude,
Zach, you need to start riding.
You were getting Pat McAfee baited for a minute, that's for sure. Zach was riding with Pat.
Hey,
this is
we have
the
a
meme I
better
was talking
we have
about.
a better record than McAfee's people. I bet as well.
100%. They have their own show. This is my favorite meme. It's so good.
If you want to win money, you come to the Practice Squad Pod and ride with the boys.
Moneyline
Mark, making money Mark, whatever you want to call me, Triple M, M, whatever you want to call me.
M.
I need John to get positive though. John, you need to get positive. That's why I'm telling you this.
Dude, I was so close last week.
You're right there. Relax. You got plenty of time left this week. And this week, there's plenty of games left that I kind of like, and also this whole season is still ahead of you. Okay, Stay focused. You're one game back. We're gonna be positive.
Steelers at Bengals.
Man of many talents.
Yeah. Steelers at Bengals to reel this all back in. This feels like a trap game. Like everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, Steelers are gonna win this game because Joe Burrow's not playing." And yet, I feel like I feel like the Steelers just feel so fraudulent this season. It is very hard for me to get behind this. I guess I like them to win. That under over too is brutal. I mean, what's everybody's thoughts here?
I mean, I don't want to touch this game just because there's so many questions around it. But like my gut tells me that the Steelers win and the over hits. But like, because I think these teams actually play better offensively than anyone's expecting in this week.
Right.
I just I can't put that in my best bets because it's just so ass. But that's my gut tells me that pretty strongly that's what's gonna happen.
We got Jags at Texans. Huge game. The implications of this one are massive. I like the fact that it's at Houston. Man, Houston's, home underdog too against the Jags team that I think has had some questions. Jags do have a good defense though, and that Jags team has been consistent defensively. I like Houston here though. I like Houston to win. I like Houston to cover, obviously.
I agree.
Yeah, that's where we all disagree here, boys. I like the Jags. I like a -1.5. I like it in my best bets. Revenge game, dude. Revenge game. They got whopped in Jacksonville by the Texans earlier this year. I mean, CJ Stroud has been hot, but I just feel like this is Vegas baiting the whole world to think that the Texans are going to win this game because of how they've been playing, and they beat the Bengals, and they just had a good win against the Cardinals, blah 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 blah. I just think that Trevor Lawrence and the Jags have heard enough of that shit, and I feel like they're not getting talked about enough because they haven't really been in the main stage. Everybody kind of thought the Jags would be what they are this year, so they're not getting talked about. I think the Jags take care of business.
And again, the implications of this game are massive.
Huge.
For the division, playoff picture, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm not adding Houston in my best bets. I don't feel that confident about it. I think you're right that 1-1 against one another feels right. But man, weird. Again, another weird reality that we're living in where, the Jags and the Texans are like legitimate AFC
teams.
Division rivals.
Drew has a good point. The world always balances out, and there's just way too much stuff going in the Texans' favor right now for them to win this game.
Yeah, I think I can get behind that argument.
The Cinderella story always ends, and I think that at least gets suspended, and this is the moment where it's kind of like, oh, it stalls out. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe they are, a little bit less of a team than we thought they were.
Yeah, they've been playing on fire the past few weeks. That doesn't last, right? All right, we got a shitter of a game. Tampa at the Colts. Colts are favored by 2.5 points, which is actually kind of surprising, probably because they've had 2 weeks to prepare. I'm not touching this one from a best bets perspective, but I do kind of like Tampa to cover here at the very least.
I like Tampa to cover a lot. I consider it in my best bets, but I'm not going to do it. I like Baker, dude.
I do too, and I know they've kind of been in a slump, but this just feels like a good get back game. So
I feel like this is just such a good rowdy like Baker versus Minshew game. Like it's just kind of both similar style players, underdogs, kind of like that cowboy, like let it loose kind of quarterback. It should be fun one to watch at least. I think you said it's a shitter game. I kind of think it could be a fun one to watch. I think Baker and the Bucs get it done, but definitely not confident enough to put that in my best bets.
Yeah, I mean, shitter game in the sense that they're not very good teams. Still could be an entertaining game, 100%. Speaking of not very good
this
teams,
is a shitter game.
Look at this over, dude. Where's that? I need a tank here. I should.
Dude, can we get a tank the size of like freaking a small country?
Can we get a tank?
Dude, you got the Patriots at Giants, you got the Panthers at Titans, you got the Rams at Cardinals. Like I don't even can we just scratch those 3 games off of this? Like I don't even think they're worth. I don't even think they're worth talking about, dude. I mean,
ooh, I like, yeah, there we go.
Just can we drag that across, just laterally across that entire bar? Because I cannot stand those 3. Those 3 games are just so dog water.
Those are the games you got to bet on.
Yeah,
there we go. How does that feel? But is that kind of what you were banking on? Does that feel good? Yeah, I like it. I mean, we can double up. Just get their own respective tanks too.
What do you
All right.
have for the? Are you putting any of those games in your best bets, John? I mean, are you confident about any of those?
Mm,
The Giants getting 3.5.
Yeah.
Give me Tony D and the G-Men.
okay, I like that,
Tony
Zach.
D.
Um, honestly, so like, there's a part of me that's spiteful enough that I kind of want to hit the under on that one, but I'm not gonna do it. Like, that's really putting yourself up
Yeah,
against
Zach
it.
said Tony. It is Tommy, but I would assume it's Tony too, just because of Tony Soprano in the jersey
Right.
and
I
every
called him
Italian's
Danny
name is Tony.
earlier. Tony.
I mean,
What's
you're
it-
not far off.
doesn't-
Like
yeah.
they're all Italian. Like, dude,
I'll call
they're
him
all
Giuseppe
Italian.
next. Just
At least you hit the
Tommy,
accent.
Danny.
Dude, I find it hard to ride with the Italian. Being an Italian myself, I'm gonna go with the Paisan. I think they take care of business against the Patriots. Not enough to be in my best bets. I think that the Titans take care of the Panthers, and then I think the Rams take care of the Cardinals. None of
think-
those are in my best bets.
I was gonna say, I think all of those are correct. There's a debate to be had on the spreads, but I don't know, man. I feel like the Titans only being a 3.5 point favorite against the Panthers feels weird, but I'm not gonna think about it any more than I am right now, because that probably just means that the Panthers are gonna at least cover or some shit like that. So, all right, Browns with a dead quarterback. We don't know who's gonna play at Denver. Denver is a 2.5 point favorite. Despite how well Denver has been playing the past couple of weeks, that spread is interesting to me. Also have to note the over on this one, 35.5 points. It sounds like this is going to be another defensive battle, boys. How are we feeling about it?
I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like I think Joe. Are they going to start Joe Flacco? Like these are the questions that we need to know
Too
the
many
answers
questions.
to.
Right.
So I can't put in my best bets just because of so many unanswered questions. But if it is Flacco, I feel pretty good about the Browns going in there and ending this win streak. I think Russell Wilson is going to be having nightmares about Myles Garrett for a very long time after this game.
Yeah, I like Browns to win. And I'm not gonna do anything best bets related with this one, though. It feels wacky. I don't like that we're at this point of the season and there's so many dead quarterbacks that we can't figure out what teams what any given week, because there was a record for most starting quarterbacks and most rookie starting quarterbacks 3 weeks ago, and now we have Burrow hurt, Geno hurt, all these other questions. It's wild. Casey at Raiders. Raiders are getting 9.5 points. Over is 44. I believe Aiden O'Connell is still getting a start there. He's been playing pretty well for a rookie quarterback.
He had a dime to Devontae Adams this week.
And I think Casey's defense is going to be way too much for them to handle. But I think it's going to be a relatively low scoring game. So not going to touch this one, but I do like Casey to win. I just don't know about cover.
I'm going to put Kansas City in my best bets to cover. They're pissed off. They just lost. It's fresh. This is an in-division road game, which Mahomes has lost, I think, one in his career. And he usually takes care of business in terms of the spread. I think the Raiders had a couple good games, couple competitive games behind this, Antonio Pierce is their head coach, their interim head coach. But I think that fun ends when they play a team like this that's pissed off. And Mahomes has just got to be... Him and Kelsey and this team, I think they're just infuriated, man. I think this is a get-back game. I think this is just where you're going to get our very best.
Yeah,
so.
I'm inclined to agree there. I think this is when they're definitely going to win. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know about that point differential. All right, Bills at Eagles. And again, if you are a Lions fan, you're hoping this is the 2021 Bills team, baby. That's what they need to come out as. With that being said, I really don't know if the Bills got the juice to pull it off in Philly. I just have to be honest.
I don't either.
I'm taking the Eagles all day.
Zach's taking the Eagles. I'm taking the
Eagles all day. I'm taking the Eagles all day. I would even consider the Eagles as a best bet. I mean, dude, who are we kidding? The Bills, they stink.
Yeah, they're not good. I am taking the over on this one, though. I think there will be a sufficient number of points scored. So that's where I'm at. Buffalo's offense gets it put
the
together
only
a
reason
little
I'm
bit better.
just so everyone's clear, the only reason I'm not putting the Eagles on my best bet is because I feel like they'll be a little bit hungover off this win from the Kansas City game. So
That's fair.
and
All
I
right,
also I can't do it because I want the Bills to win so bad. So then I'll be like contradicting myself.
Also, Sunday Night Football, Ravens at Chargers. Chargers are 4.5-point dogs at home, and yet something still makes me want to take the Ravens here. But just because of how bad the Chargers have been playing, I mean, the Chargers lose this one. Is Staley their coach
He's
the
gone.
following
Yeah,
week?
I think he's gone. I think he might be gone even before this game is played. Like this episode might air, and breaking news: Staley fired.
His
So,
ass has to be crispy at this point.
dude, like
He's been cooking for a long time.
Yeah, I mean it's a long time coming, man. It really is. I'm gonna take the Chargers to cover, but I'm not putting my best bets. I still don't trust the Ravens. I'll be honest. I still do not fully trust the Ravens. I
I'm
obviously
just
don't
curious.
trust the Chargers.
What do you need for the Ravens? Like, you think, yes, the Ravens are like a top 5 team in the NFL.
I'm not saying they're not a top 5 team in the NFL. I'm just saying I don't fully trust them. Like against like I'd still consider the Chargers like a relatively like talented roster. Justin Herbert's a good quarterback. They're not like this isn't a team that you just go in there and win. Like it's not like it's an easy game.
Yeah, I'm more scared of this team without Brandon Staley. I said there's that curse, right? Or reverse curse where you fire your head coach mid-season, you come out that next game flying out the gate.
I just don't fully trust Lamar Jackson. That's the simple and always has been that way. I just do not fully trust him as a quarterback. He does some amazing things. It's a consistency problem for me. And you just took away his best weapon. Mark Andrews is done for the year. He was kind of like his security blanket at times. I mean, yeah, I just think the Chargers cover the 4.5.
Zach, who you got?
I'm taking the Ravens. I don't know about the Chargers. You'd think a team with as many weapons and as many names as they have would be better than they are, but losing a squeaker to the Packers like that and then getting down to the wire the Lions defense isn't that great, but I think that there's still a way for Lamar to cut him up on offense. So give me the Ravens.
And Drew's chiming into the chat too. I mean, Ravens defense is very, very good. So it's the first time the Chargers have had to go up against an elite defense in a minute. All right, and then finally Monday Night Football, we got Bears at Minnesota. I don't know how I feel about this one after really how both these teams have been playing. I'm not really sure what to think of it. Yeah, give me Minnesota covering at home here. I think that makes sense.
I actually think the Bears cover. I think the Bears cover just because Justin Fields uses his feet. Good quarterback. Interesting quarterback matchup. I mean, two guys that play kind of similar styles. Like they just extend plays. They're not afraid to run the ball. They're more athletic than you think they are. I don't know. It's going to be a fun one, I think.
Zach?
I think the Vikes win and I think they cover.
Yeah,
I think the Pasternak returns to form for sure.
This is a good slate of games overall. I mean, you got a lot of divisional matchups with a good chunk of weight on them. You got some, pretty good outside of the division matchups. I like this. I mean, we got what? Division, not division, not division. I mean, it's a pretty good slate. I like this.
Yeah, I
It's a
think
good week. There's also some really bad games.
Yeah, I think they'll be entertaining bad games, though. I'll take it.
It's a weird spot right now because you'd figure that given a lot of teams' records, you'd know who the contenders are and the pretenders are. But there's a lot of question marks around a lot of teams, whether it's
in a weird season,
injury, personnel, or like coaches, even where it's like anything can really happen.
I mean, the AFC right now, especially, I'm like, what the hell is going on?
John, can you pull those picks up again? I just want to recap my picks, your picks.
Yep.
So we can run through it just so we're all on the same page.
Is this the right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mark, so your best bets are?
My best bets are the Jets +10. Okay, they're hosting the Dolphins. I think they take care of business without Zach Wilson. I have the Jags -1.5 going into Houston. I think the CJ Stroud Houston Texans fun ends. I think their luck runs out. And then I have the Chiefs -9.5 in Vegas. Revenge game. Pissed off. Mahomes does not lose. Division games on the road, and he is definitely not happy with what happened in this Eagles game on Monday night. So I think they get their revenge.
Cool. I got Dallas covering -11 because they beat up on bad teams and the Commanders are bad. I got Saints covering -1 because big divisional matchup and Mark bullied me into it. And then I got the over for the Bills-Eagles matchup because I think points are going to be scored that game. Simply put, I think the Bills offense is going to get things humming a little bit better than they've been doing the past few weeks. And I think the Eagles are just going to play how the Eagles have been playing. And that's going to equal more than 47.5 points. So that is Mark and I's best bets. Mark, thank you for the reminder.
Of course. You heard it here first. If I'm telling you, you guys are idiots if you don't ride with us. That's all I'm saying. At this point, the math tells tells the story. Statistics don't lie.
Oh, Zach, thank you for coming on, by the way.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's a late night. It's coming up on 1 a.m. for you guys?
Yeah, almost 10 after.
The grind.
Good stuff, guys.
It's all part of the grind.
Thanks for watching our show. If you are not a subscriber and you have made it this far, what did you just sit past the past hour and a half and do? Obviously, you're here for a reason, so you should make sure you're coming back. Also, if you are a fan of a team in the NFC North, that is Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears, we do have merchandise dedicated to you guys, made by an excellent artist. Really cool concepts, really high quality. I am wearing one right now.
Let's see the back, John. Let's see the spin cycle.
Yeah.
Little fit check.
Yeah, there's at least see the little bit of the Lions.
Beauty.
It's beautiful. It really is. Got a lot of compliments on mine. Wore it at the game this Sunday.
Nice. You can get it on the front as well on a t-shirt, hoodies. It's back only. Again, really, I'm wearing this not only because Lions won and there was football on today, but more so than not, it's just a comfortable ass shirt, man. So some good stuff. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next week. And thanks again, Zach, for coming on. Appreciate it. We will see you guys soon. Peace.